Hey guys, welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. Today I am sharing a What's for Dinner video. I share these every Sunday to hopefully motivate y'all and myself, and to also share some new dinner ideas with y'all. I try to share a couple new recipes every week. I love trying new recipes and seeing if my family likes them, and we tried quite a few good ones this week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't already, and any links that I mentioned will be listed in the description box. Now let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night I made a creamy cilantro lime shrimp Alfredo. I started by bringing some salted water to a boil to cook 8 ounces of spaghetti, and in a skillet I heated 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I seasoned 1 pound of shrimp with this cilantro lime seasoning that I picked up at Sam's Club. The original recipe does not use this, but last time I tried this recipe, it's supposed to be made with chicken, and I made it with the chicken, and the seasoning was delicious in it. But this time we are doing it with the shrimp. And when my oil was hot, I cooked my shrimp for a few minutes and then removed them from the pan. Then I added in about a tablespoon of minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of lime juice, and 1/4 cup of chicken broth. And I let that simmer for about 2 minutes, scraping any bits from the bottom until it was slightly reduced. Then I added in about 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped cilantro, 2/3 of a cup of heavy cream, and 2/3 of a cup of milk, and I brought that to a boil over a medium-high heat, stirring often. Once it was boiling, I added in about 1/2 cup of cheese. I think I did a little bit more just to use up the rest of what I had. This time I did Parmesan cheese. Last time I did mozzarella, I think, and it was good both ways. Once all of that cheese was melted, I stirred in my cooked noodles and a little bit of the pasta water, and then I added in my shrimp. This was so delicious. I highly recommend this recipe. I thought that I loved it when we had it with the chicken, and I knew it would be good with the shrimp, and I was not wrong. I think I loved it even more with the shrimp. We all enjoyed it, and I served it topped with a little bit more fresh cilantro. Saturday night we had some burgers, and I made these a little bit different than I usually do. One of my favorite places to look for new recipes to try is HelloFresh. I haven't bought their boxes in years, but I enjoy going on there and getting some recipe inspiration. So this kind of is based off of one of their burgers. I think it was called like a bacon buckaroo burger. So I started off by melting some butter in my skillet, and then I took some thinly sliced onion and began sauteing those in the butter with a little bit of salt. Once the onions were cooked how I wanted them, I mixed in a little bit of barbecue sauce. This is our favorite barbecue sauce, the Kansas City one from Aldi. And I turned off the heat and just let those sit until we were ready to make our burgers. While I was cooking the onions, I cooked up a pound of bacon in the oven. I do this on 400 for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's the desired crispiness that we like. And then I took some of that bacon grease and put it in my bigger cast iron pan to cook my burgers in. I seasoned the ground beef with some seasoned salt, onion powder, and some black pepper, and then I just cooked these on each side for probably about 5 minutes in my cast iron pan. And once they were done, I topped them with some Gouda cheese and just let that melt. So for our burgers, we use these brioche buns from Aldi, and then I put some of the barbecue sauce on the bottom bun, topped it with our burger and cheese, and then some of the bacon. And then for me and Andy, we did eat those onions with the barbecue sauce, and it was delicious. I would definitely make that again. And I'm not somebody who loves onions, but I just wanted something different. I wanted burgers, but I just didn't want plain old bacon cheeseburgers. So the onion was a nice little extra thing to put on it. And we just had this with some tater tots. Sunday night, I tried a recipe for Salsa Verde chicken enchiladas. So I started off by taking this whole jar of the Salsa Verde from Aldi and heating it up over a medium heat. This recipe came from Aldi only recipes, so all the ingredients I'm using are from Aldi, but you can of course substitute a green salsa from a different store. And then I cooked up some chicken in my air fryer and I seasoned it with that cilantro lime seasoning from Sam's Club, and then I just shredded it in my KitchenAid. Once the salsa was hot, I stirred in half a cup of sour cream and half a cup of chopped fresh cilantro leaves. And then once that was all combined, I reserved some of this sauce to the side to pour in the bottom of my baking dish and on top of the enchiladas. The recipe said to only reserve about half a cup. I did 1.5 cups because I wanted to make sure I had enough sauce. And I'm glad that I did reserve more than it said because I really felt like it needed some more sauce on the outside of the enchiladas. So once I had reserved that little bit, I added in 2 cups of shredded chicken and 1 cup of shredded cheese. I chose to use a Monterey Jack, and then I just stirred that all together to combine. Then I poured about half of that reserved sauce in the bottom of a 13x9 baking dish, and I began assembling my enchiladas. I just rolled up that meat and cheese and sauce mixture in some flour tortillas and placed them in my baking dish. And then I topped it with the remaining reserved sauce and some more of that Monterey Jack cheese. And then the recipe said to put some foil over this and bake, but I never put foil on top of my enchiladas. But I baked it at 350 for about 20 minutes. These were delicious. I would definitely recommend trying them if you like salsa verde. Elijah was the only one who didn't like these, which I completely understand because I didn't used to like green salsas either. But he ate some of it. He just would prefer not to eat it again, and we just had it with some chips and salsa on the side. Monday night, I made a lemon pepper chicken thighs with potatoes and green beans in the crock pot, and I actually shared this recipe in a video that went up on Thursday. It was a crock pot and clean with me, and if you missed it, I will have it linked down below for you guys. This was delicious, and if you like lemon pepper stuff, definitely recommend trying it, and it was super easy to put together in the crock pot. Tuesday night, I made spaghetti pie, so I started off by boiling some salted water for my spaghetti noodles and browning 1 pound of ground beef. And I seasoned my ground beef with some onion powder, some Italian seasoning, and some garlic powder. This recipe comes from my Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. I have made it before, and it's a small recipe. It pretty much feeds my family perfectly with like 1 serving of leftovers for Andy to take the next day, and it only uses half a pound of ground beef. So I decided this night to go ahead and use the full pound because that's how I usually freeze ground beef in 1 pound like packages. So I made the full pound and then ended up making 2 spaghetti pies, so I just doubled the whole recipe, and then the other one I threw in the freezer. So once my beef was browned, sometimes I do this trick with the paper towel where you drain the grease, or you don't drain the grease, you like absorb the grease with the paper towel, just depending on like how much grease is there is whether or not I will use that trick or like actually like dump out the grease. I've seen a lot of people share that paper towel trick recently. My dad used to do that, so I've done that like forever. And then once I got all that grease out of there, I added in most of a jar of spaghetti sauce. I did about 16 ounces because the original recipe called for 8 ounces. And then once my pasta was done, I mixed in some butter, some eggs, and some Parmesan cheese. This is going to form like our pie crust. I sprayed my 2 baking dishes with some nonstick cooking spray. I'm using a foil like 8x8 square pan for the one that's going to go in the freezer, and then a regular pie plate for the one that I'm cooking now. And I just divided my noodles evenly between the 2 of those and kind of pressed it into the bottom and up the sides as best as I could because you want to kind of form a pie crust. Then I spread 1 cup of cottage cheese over each of the pies, and then I divided my meat mixture evenly between the 2 and spread those across the top as well. I topped the one that I baked now with some mozzarella cheese, and I chose to not top the other one with mozzarella cheese until after it thaws out and when I'm ready to bake it. Then I'll top it with mozzarella cheese. Then the one I baked now, baked at 350 for 25 minutes. I covered the one that I'm freezing with some foil, and then I wrote on the foil spaghetti pie and then the instructions to top it with mozzarella and bake it 350 for 25 minutes. And I will let y'all know how this turns out. This will be my first time trying this. Hopefully it turns out. I will definitely update y'all in a what's for dinner in the future when we actually do try it. I'm excited to have a little freezer meal for when I'm not feeling like cooking. And here's how the spaghetti pie turned out. As I said, we love this. I've made it quite a few times now. It's just a twist on spaghetti because, as I've mentioned in other videos, my family would eat spaghetti literally every night if I let them. It's a favorite, and I'm not like the biggest fan of spaghetti. I mean, I'll eat it, but I'm always looking for ways to change it up a little bit. So this is how we served it, with a little side salad, just some fresh veggies for Lily, and that was our dinner for Tuesday night. It is Wednesday, and tonight's dinner is going to be super easy. We are doing BBQ pulled pork baked potatoes. So if you're new here, you may not have seen me do this before, but this is what I always do to make pulled pork. I throw a pork loin in the crock pot and let it cook all day with whatever seasoning I like or have on hand. And sometimes I add barbecue sauce at the beginning, sometimes I don't. But it's easy as that. You just throw some pork in the crock pot with some seasoning. Today I am using this Fox Brothers barbecue rub. I had bought it on Markdown at Kroger. It's good. We like it. I don't know that I would spend the like $7 that it is usually, but for $1.50, yeah, I'll take it. So I've sprinkled that all over the pork loin, and then I'm going to put on a little bit of this Kansas City barbecue sauce that I get at Aldi, and then put the lid on it and let it cook all day. Okay, it's been several hours. This is what my pork looks like. I'm gonna shred it up, probably add a little bit more barbecue sauce in there, and then I am starting on our potatoes. I've got some sweet potatoes and some regular like russet potatoes. I'm making extra so that we can have them for leftovers. And I'm just gonna put these here in the air fryer, probably about 375 for about 45 minutes, and I will flip them halfway through, and I did poke some holes in those. Okay, here is dinner. This one is mine. I of course have a sweet potato, then the pulled pork, some barbecue sauce, some cheddar cheese, and then some green onion. Elijah just has one of the regular baked potatoes, the russet potato, and that is what Andy will have as well when he gets home. And then he's got some pulled pork, cheddar cheese, and then these are some of those like French fried onions, the little crispy onions. These are actually the ones from Dollar Tree, which are not bad. They're pretty good, decent for $1, and it's almost a 3-ounce bag, so pretty good price, and they're pretty good. And then Lily has the same thing as Elijah, just on a sweet potato instead of a regular baked potato. And that will be our dinner for Wednesday. And if you've done these before, let me know what you put on your like pulled pork, baked potatoes, or sweet potatoes. I think I've done sour cream in the past, especially when I've done it on a regular potato. But I can't remember if I've ever done sour cream on a sweet potato. I'm just not feeling sour cream tonight, so I'm not even gonna try it. But I know it's really good with the cheese and the green onion. That's what I usually always do. And this barbecue sauce is that same one I put on the pork earlier. It's my favorite barbecue sauce, and it goes so well with the sweet potato. So that is going to be dinner. Thursday night we had a sweet and sour chicken, and I used these honey battered breast tenders that I picked up from Aldi and the Aldi brand sweet and sour sauce, both of which are really good. These chicken tenders are not the best when you reheat them like next day as like leftovers, unless you do it in the air fryer. Then they are fine. So I cooked those up in the air fryer, and then I tossed them in that sweet and sour sauce. And while those were cooking, I worked on making some fried rice. So for my fried rice, I start off by making some perfect white rice in the Instant Pot, and I let that cool. So usually I make it early in the morning and put it in the fridge, or make it the day before. So then in my skillet, I have heated up a little bit of vegetable oil and a little bit of sesame oil, and then I tossed in some green onions and my white rice, and I just let that get hot and start to cook. And then I season it with some garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of salt, and some pepper. And then I've mentioned this before, I don't like measure anything for this, but I go in with some soy sauce and some hoisin sauce and some oyster sauce. And I know I like a lot of soy sauce, and I just kind of like base it off of the color, and then I will taste it to make sure that it tastes the way I want it to. As I said, I don't measure it, I just do it based off how it looks and how it tastes. And then once I have all of that mixed into the rice, I add in some frozen mixed veggies, and I put a little bit of soy sauce on those as well. Toss them around a little bit, and then I mix them into the rice, and then I push everything to the side and add some scrambled eggs. I do 4 eggs usually, and I put those on one side, season them with some salt and pepper, and then I put the lid on to let the eggs cook through most of the way, and then I will kind of scramble them off to the side. Once they're mostly cooked, I will mix them in with the rice. And here's that chicken tossed in the sauce. and we just put that over our fried rice. And then I topped mine with some green onion because I love green onion on it. Super good. And as I said, we like this chicken, we like this sauce. It makes having sweet and sour chicken a lot easier than like the homemade one that I usually make. And I was telling Andy when we were eating this, like, homemade fried rice is got to be one of my favorite things that I make. And I'm not even like the biggest fan of rice, but I love fried rice. So good. And that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that you guys got some new ideas of some things to try. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.